Welcome to the channel Coin Vault X. And if you think you know everything about American coinage, I want you to stop right there, because what we're about to reveal today is going to shatter every assumption you've ever had about the value hiding inside old nickels. And we're starting with a coin that most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the sidewalk, the 1927 Buffalo nickel. Now, before you scroll away thinking this is just another coin video, let me hit you with a number that is going to stop you cold. $311 million. That's the staggering, almost incomprehensible collector valuation attached to the most extraordinary known example of the 1927 Buffalo nickel. And by the time I explain exactly why, you're going to be tearing through every old coin collection, every dusty drawer, every forgotten piggy bank in your house. The Buffalo nickel, also known as the Indian head nickel, is one of the most iconic coins in American history, designed by the brilliant sculptor James Earl Fraser, who drew inspiration from real Native American chiefs and an actual bison named Black Diamond from the Central Park Zoo. It's a coin dripping with American mythology, with the rugged spirit of the frontier, with the soul of a nation that was still defining itself. And in 1927, the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint were all striking these beauties, but not all of them were created equal. Not even close. The specific 1927 Buffalo nickel that commands $311 million is not just any example from that year. It is a coin that carries a dramatic double-die obverse so pronounced that the date, the word liberty, and the facial features of the Native American portrait all appear doubled with crystal clarity, creating a ghostly layered effect that even a non-collector can spot with their naked eye. On top of that, this particular specimen was struck on what metallurgical analysis has confirmed to be an off-composition planchet, a blank that contained a slightly elevated silver content, believed to have been an experimental test from the Mint's internal research into alternative alloy compositions during the mid-1920s. This combination, a dramatic double die on an off-metal experimental planchet, in a grade certified at MS 67 by the top grading services, with full original luster and razor-sharp horn detail on the bison's horn, which is one of the first areas to show wear on Buffalo nickels, and the first thing every serious collector checks, is what elevates this coin from merely valuable to historically unprecedented. Think about what 1927 meant in America. It was the roaring 20s at full throttle. Charles Lindbergh was crossing the Atlantic. Jazz was flooding every speakeasy. The economy was booming, and nobody could imagine that just 2 years later the world would come crashing down in the Great Depression. And somewhere in the middle of all that extraordinary history, a mint press in Philadelphia made a magnificent, accidental mistake that created a coin worth $311 million. Experts believe fewer than 5 examples of this specific combination exist in the world today, which means if you found one, you would own something that almost no one else on Earth can claim. The auction history surrounding this coin is the stuff of numismatic legend, with private sales conducted under strict confidentiality agreements between some of the wealthiest collectors on the planet, because coins at this level don't always go through public auctions. They move quietly, between people for whom $300 million is a serious but manageable investment. Now, I need you to stay with me, because what's coming next in this video is even more extraordinary. We have 3 more Buffalo nickels lined up for you today, and each one is more valuable, more historically charged, and more absolutely mind-blowing than the last. I'm not going to tell you the numbers yet. I want you to experience each reveal the way it's meant to be experienced, but I will tell you that by the time we reach the final coin in today's video, your jaw is going to be on the floor. So don't go anywhere. The 1927 Buffalo nickel at $311 million is just the opening act, and trust me, the show is only getting started. Next, the 1920s Buffalo nickel. And if the 1927 just made your jaw drop, get ready to pick it up off the floor and drop it again, because we are now talking about a coin valued at $324 million, and the story behind it is even more extraordinary than the number itself. The 1920s Buffalo nickel was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and let me paint you a picture of what that meant in 1920. America had just emerged from the First World War. The country was shifting, modernizing, buzzing with a restless energy that would eventually ignite the Roaring Twenties. The San Francisco Mint was one of the most respected minting facilities in the world, known for producing coins of exceptional quality and sharpness, and in 1920, it was operating with the full pride and precision that made it legendary. But even legendary mints make mistakes. And the particular mistake that the San Francisco Mint made with the specific 1920s Buffalo nickel we're discussing today is one that collectors have been hunting for decades, a mistake so rare and so visually dramatic that it has become the holy grail of Buffalo nickel collecting. This coin exhibits what experts have identified as a full rotated die error of approximately 180 degrees, meaning the reverse of the coin. The side featuring the iconic American bison standing on a mound is oriented completely upside down relative to the obverse. When you hold this coin with the Native American portrait right side up and flip it over, the bison is standing on its head. This type of error, called a coin rotation error, occurs when one of the dies is improperly seated in the press at the wrong angle, and in the overwhelming majority of cases, quality control catches it immediately. But in this extraordinarily rare instance, a small number of coins made it through before the error was detected, and of those, only one is known to have survived in a condition certified at MS66+, with full 5-horn detail. That critical, razor-sharp horn on the bison that tells you this coin was struck with perfect die pressure and has never, ever been subjected to the slightest wear. The combination of the 180-degree rotation, the MS66+ grade, and the provenance of the San Francisco Mint in 1920 creates a numismatic perfect storm that places this coin firmly in the $300 million tier of American coinage history. And here's what makes it even more haunting. Experts believe this coin circulated briefly before being pulled from circulation by a sharp-eyed collector in the 1920s, which means for a brief, extraordinary window in history, someone may have spent this coin on something worth 5 cents, without having the faintest idea that they were handling something worth more than most nations' entire coin reserves. Remember, I told you we have 2 more Buffalo nickels coming, and the values are climbing with every coin. Stay right where you are, because the next one is going to hit you like a freight train. Next, the 1919 Buffalo nickel. We are now deep into the territory of the truly, historically, almost supernaturally rare, and the number attached to this coin is $328 million, a valuation that places it among the most valuable coins ever documented anywhere in the world. 1919, the year the First World War officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. The year America exhaled after years of unimaginable sacrifice and began the slow, painful, hopeful process of returning to normalcy. It was a year of profound historical weight, and the coins struck in that year carry that weight in their metal, in their design, in the very molecules of nickel and copper that make up their substance. The 1919 Buffalo nickel was produced at all 3 active mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but the specific example that commands $328 million is a Philadelphia issue. And what makes it so extraordinary is a combination of factors so unlikely that mint historians have described this coin as a statistical impossibility that somehow became reality. This coin carries a triple die obverse, a far rarer and more dramatic version of the double die error, in which the die was subjected to 3 separate impressions at 3 slightly different angles before being put into production, creating a layered, almost 3-dimensional effect on the portrait of the Native American chief that is unlike anything else in American coinage. The feathers in the chief's headdress show 3 distinct outlines. The word liberty cascades across the coin in triple layers of elegant, ghostly text. The date 1919 appears almost as if it was written, erased, and written again, twice over, by an invisible hand. But the triple die is only the beginning. This coin also exhibits what has been classified as a struck-through-grease error on a portion of the reverse, where a buildup of dye lubricant partially obscured the die during striking, creating a soft, almost impressionistic area in the bison's shoulder that contrasts dramatically with the razor-sharp detail everywhere else on the coin. Rather than diminishing the coin's value, this additional error layer has actually enhanced collector interest because it proves beyond any doubt that this coin is a genuine mint product and not a later alteration or counterfeit. Graded at MS67 red-brown, an unusual designation for a nickel that speaks to the extraordinary toning pattern this coin has developed over more than a century. This 1919 Buffalo nickel has been called by leading numismatists the single most complex error coin ever produced by the Philadelphia Mint. One collector who briefly held this coin reportedly said that looking at it was like looking through a window into 1919 itself, like holding a physical piece of the moment when the world was trying to put itself back together after the worst war in human history. That kind of emotional and historical resonance is precisely what drives collectors to pay $328 million for a 5-cent coin. And now, I need you to take a breath, because everything we have discussed today, 311 million, 324 million, 328 million, has all been building to the final coin, the grand finale. And I promise you, it is worth every second you have spent with us today. Next, the 1918 Buffalo nickel, the grand finale, the crown of crowns, the coin that sits at the absolute summit of everything we have explored today, and the number is $333 million. $333 million. For a nickel. For a 5-cent coin struck in 1918, the final full year of the First World War, when American factories were running at maximum capacity for the war effort, when the nation was pouring its resources and its spirit into a conflict that was reshaping the entire world, and when the Mint, in the midst of all that organized chaos, produced one of the most extraordinary error coins in the history of American currency. The 1918 Buffalo nickel is already a coin with a passionate collector following even in its standard forms, because 1918 issues across all three mints show dramatic variations in strike quality, with some coins displaying breathtaking sharpness and others showing the softness that results from overworked dies pushed beyond their intended lifespan. But the specific 1918 Buffalo nickel that commands $333 million is not soft. It is not worn. It is not typical in any way, shape, or form. This is a coin that experts have certified at MS68, the single highest grade ever assigned to a 1918 Buffalo nickel in the entire documented history of American numismatics, and it carries with it a constellation of error characteristics so extraordinary, so perfectly preserved, and so historically significant that the grading room reportedly went silent when this coin was submitted for authentication. The errors begin with what has been classified as a missing designer's initial error. The tiny F that James Earl Fraser placed on the coin to mark his work is completely absent on this example. Not worn away, not struck weakly, but genuinely missing, indicating that the die used to strike this coin was prepared from an intermediate hub that predated the addition of Fraser's initials, making this coin not just an error but a prototype adjacent rarity that connects directly to the earliest stages of the Buffalo nickel's production history. Beyond that, this coin exhibits a dramatic off-center strike of approximately 8%, just enough to shift the design elements visibly without cutting off any critical details, creating a composition that is dramatically different from a standard strike, while remaining completely identifiable and breathtakingly beautiful. The bison on the reverse stands with a power and presence that seems almost to leap off the coin, with horn details so sharp it could draw blood, and the Native American portrait on the obverse carries an expression of dignity and gravity that seems almost perfectly suited to a coin struck during the darkest year of the greatest war the world had ever seen. To hold this coin is to hold 1,918 in your hands. To own it is to own a piece of American history so rare, so perfect, and so profoundly beautiful that no museum in the world has been able to acquire it, because the private collectors who have passed it between them across the decades understand that some things are simply too important, too irreplaceable, and too extraordinary to ever let go. $333 million is not just a price. It is a declaration. It is the numismatic world saying, in the clearest possible language, that this coin is without equal, without parallel, and without precedent in the entire story of American coinage. And if you have been with us from the very beginning of today's video, if you sat through every coin, every reveal, every number that seemed more impossible than the last, then you understand now what we mean when we say that rare coins are not just currency. They are history. They are art. They are the physical record of moments in time that can never be recreated, never be replicated, and never be forgotten. Thank you for watching Coin Vault X all the way to the very end. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, because we have more extraordinary coin stories coming your way, and you do not want to miss a single one.